This landscape's a bit more abstract, and I love creating some cool shapes or weird, objects within a piece. It makes it look more fun. It's sort of like that movie poster, if you've seen it around, where it has like that big rock. Similar to that, you just play around with different forms and shapes, and you can see here it's like a little bit of a rocky landscape in the middle of nowhere. It's got some nice gradients and colors. So we'll quickly, create this, and I've chosen this nice purpley pinky palette, which is pretty sweet. I'm gonna press M. So we're gonna get the rectangle tool, and we're just gonna draw it out on our artboard, and we're gonna create a slight gradient. So you can see here, there's a gradient already here. I'm just gonna click that, and you can see it's pretty subtle. It's a pink to a white, and I'm just gonna drag it in, and then change the angle to 90 degrees. And we might switch that up, or we might switch it that way. So we've got that. And I'm just going to select this and press Control Command 2 to lock it. And what we're going to do now is we're going to start building our rocks. So if we go to our sketch on the side here, you can see how I've got this rock, and it's on this like nice plane in the middle, and then it's got all these other spiky rocks. So it makes it feel like it's in the middle of like a cliff or some dangerous spot. So what I'm going to do is press L for the ellipse tool, and then hold Alt and just drag out a nice circle like that. And I'm going to change it to a darker purple there so you guys can see. So we've got that. I'm going to start building around it. So actually I might select this and just make that a bit bigger. And then I'm going to press P for the pen tool and start making the outer rims. So you can see, you can click and drag, and start to get a form going. And it can be really rough, because it is a rocky cliff. And I'm just gonna hold Shift and then continue over here. And try and make it look realistic. And then I'm just gonna change the color up here. And Control Shift right semi bracket, square bracket, or remember if you're on a Mac it will be Command Shift. So I've got these two colors. I don't want this to be a gradient, so you want to make sure that it's not. And I'm just going to unlock this gradient, and you can see if you bring it to the back, you want to make sure that the points are on the right layers. So I'm going to select all this. I'm just going to quickly bring it to the other layer. I'm going to make sure it's all on one layer there. I'll lock these layers. So now I can bring this to the back or bring it to the front. You can see it's got a nice effect if you bring it to the front, but we'll leave it in the back now. And I'm just going to lock that again, Control 2. So we've got our planes here, and then I'll start making some rocks that are coming out from the side. Now we want a nice effect. We want some depth. Hold Shift and then connect that. And then I'll make it a dark color and bring it to the back, behind it, so it looks like there's jagged rocks sticking out. And then we can even make some rocks here as well. So I'm just left clicking and dragging if I want a rounder shape for these rock shapes. Then bring it to the back. And then what I like to do, I can add a dark color even. I can go to color, and then I'm going to click this little drop down menu on the right hand side and click CMYK. And then you can see there's CMYK, which is cyan, magenta, yellow, and K for black. I'm just going to up the black a bit to make it a bit more darker, just like that. Holding Shift, you can use your mouse wheel. And then we can just drag that around like this. So you can see we've got some layers. It looks like the rocks are behind this one main rock. And then what we can do is we can hold Alt and Shift and just copy that across. And then I'm going to go to my transform panel or window and go to the drop down menu and click flip horizontal. So you can see that we click the little menu and then flips horizontal. And I'm just going to hold Shift and left click and drag it to make a copy of it on the other side, just like that. And then if you want to make it a bit more different, we can actually just move these anchor points to create a different look, because we don't want it to look too the same. And I'm just using the direct selection tool and just going through here and editing these points. To create some variety in the rocks, the shapes. So we've got that. We've got our rocky type of thing here. And then we might just add some mountains in the back. However you want to do it. Holding shift. So I'm just clicking. And I'm just going to make this a lighter color. And I'll just copy that across. And then I'm just going to create a square rectangle. Select these two and then press Shift M to get the shape builder tool up. And you can see now these recognized as shapes. I can just hold Option or Alt, left click and drag, and that will minus those two shapes off. Just like that. So we've got some mountains here. We can drop the opacity maybe. If I go to opacity, you can drop it by 80%. Or a little bit less. 60% just to make it subtle in the background there. And then maybe we can even add like a nice sun in the corner. And then we can just, again, create a shape, select the two, and then minus this outside section. So we have an extra of that, and we get rid of that, and we have this. So we've got a nice pink sun in the back there. I might actually drop the opacity there to make it really subtle. So you can see. You can also play around with the blending modes as well to get a nice effect. Just make sure you bring it above the background. But you can see it's not really making much difference. I might leave it at multiply, and that's looking cool. So what I do to create that little gem thing, what you want to do is you want to use two shapes. So I'm just going to use a rectangle tool again. I'm just going to change the color so you guys can see, and then I'll bring it above like that. So we have this one shape, and what I'm going to do is create another shape. So I'm going to hold Alt and copy the same box or the rectangle there. I'm going to drag this, make it shorter, so we got this one shape here. And then what I'm going to do, select it, press P for the pen tool, and we're going to left click on the path so we can make another anchor point. So I've just made a middle anchor point. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this up like this, and I'm going to drag these anchor points right down and bring it down like that to make it a nice shape. And if you want it more pointy, you can just bring that up. And then what I usually do is I select this, press O for the reflect tool. You can also see it's located on the left here in the middle section. I'm going to go to this furthest right anchor point and hold Option or Alt, left click, and you'll get this box pop up. And what we're going to do is press Preview. And what it does is it's going to flip the objects we selected vertically or horizontally. So we want it to click vertically, press Copy, and that's going to make a copy for us. So now you can see we've got both these shapes like this. And then what we can do is move this to the corners like that. And then we can actually make these darker colors. Once again, I'm going to color and just changing that and adding a black. And then you can actually move it a little bit in if you want. Or just leave it like that. And I'm going to just move these points down like this. So you can actually select it by clicking and dragging the points with the direct selection tool. And then just pressing down, and that actually moves the anchor points down like that. And that's how you create that diamond shape. And just want to be careful of the colors because it might clash a little bit. And always time to go tweak it. So once again, I can actually move these up. Like that, to make it more of a pyramid. So you can see it's looking more 3D now. Just by moving the shapes, you can see, instead of having it just flat, you can see just by moving it up, it gives that angle and it makes it look 3D, as you can see there. So this is looking awesome. I might make this a lighter color. Then you can even go to color guide and play around with that. And we can do that. Awesome. So what I do as well now to add a little extra effects, we can play around with the rectangles. So once again, press M for the rectangle tool or select the shape there. And I'm just going to drag it out like this. And we're going to select this nice pink color here. And once again, use the gradient tool. We can just click that. You can see that gradient there. And that's looking good. And I'm just going to select these two anchor points and then lift that up like that. But it's a bit subtle, so we might play around with the blending modes. As you can see there, and you can drag it out. You can also make copies. And play around the blending modes to get that nice effect. I might actually change it to a white. Actually, you can't really see it. I'll change it to a darker pink. So you can see if you have these sliders in your gradient panel, you can actually click and drag the swatch onto the slider. And that's actually going to change the color for you there. And then once again, you can play around the blending modes and see what nice effect you get. Color just looks pretty cool. Even soft light's nice as well. And then just press A for the direct selection tool and then start moving these anchor points to get some, different zoom effects, or like it's like a light radiating from it. And I'll also create one like this. And I'll make this color dodge. And then we're going to change the angle of 90 degrees on the gradient panel. And we'll just drag this up. So you can see it looks like it's like a magical, glowing rock. And then I can flip this one like that. So you can see that it just adds a bit more dimension, adds a nice touch. And then you can play with the slider to get less effect. So it looks like there's light coming off it and it's creating a nice effect. So yeah, that's how we play around with this. And then you can always go in and add more detail. We can even add shading to our rocks here. I'm just going to get my pen tool. And because our light is coming from the left-hand side, as you can see here, that's why it's darker on the right side. We're going to use the pen tool. And then just click around this shape, this middle shape here. And once again, I'm going to use the shape builder tool. And then minus off the outside there. So now we have this shape. I'm going to turn it into multiply. And we're going to make it a dark purple. So now you can see now it's actually added a nice shadow there. I might also just move that. And then once again, select these two shapes. And you can minus that off. Make sure you select all of them there. And you can minus that off. So yeah, that's looking good. So it adds a bit of a shadow there. And then you can also play around, get the pen tool and add some more shadows. So make it look like there's like rocks. And it's like reflecting off certain points of the rock. And then select the shape and use the eyedropper to get the right color and blending mode. So yeah, that's how you make that one. And we'll move on to the next landscape.